Welcome to the College Football Bros. And now, here are your hosts, Michael, Ryan, and Trey Newman.
Welcome to the College Football Bros podcast. I am Michael Newman, and I'm joined by the brother who is at Ryan F. Newman 1 on Twitter.
That's a unique name for sure. That's me, Ryan Newman.
And by the other brother who is at 3 Newman.
That's me, Trey Newman. I love my handle.
It's a great handle. I have also created my own Twitter account, so I will no longer solely be tweeting from at CFB Bros. You can follow me on Twitter at CFB_Michael. And my goal is to catch up to Ryan and Trey in terms of follower count.
Shouldn't take too long.
Ryan, you're at 163. Trey, what do you think you're at?
I have no idea. I'm going to say 205.
240. 240.
Oh, okay. I wonder how many are like real people.
I don't know. Yeah, you follow. Yeah, I don't know. So I currently have 26, and I have a question for you guys. Over, under, by the time we record next week, a total of 50 followers for me.
Over.
I'll go over because you'll probably still be following people, get those courtesy follow backs.
Oh, I'm going to cheat for sure. I'm going to tweet out from CFB Bros like, hey,
yeah,
You're going to pay for followers.
Not going to do that. Not going to do that. All right. Well, we have a new sponsor this week that is very timely, should help you out for the holidays here. So who's that, Ryan?
Yeah, it's myfrontpagestory.com. It's a really cool website. It's a really cool kind of gift that they have. So what they offer is, so you talk to a professional writer about someone you love. Somebody, could be your parent, could be your wife, your husband, whoever it may be. And you talk to them for about 10, 15 minutes, and you kind of form a story with that professional writer. They'll kind of come up with a unique way of telling it, and they'll write it, make it sound really nice. And what it happens is they take it and put it on a newspaper. So it just looks exactly like it would on the front page of a newspaper. It's framed. They can hang it up in your den, wherever in your house. It's a really cool thing. Looks like it would just completely on a front of a newspaper. It's really cool. It's something kind of unique to do. It's nothing. It's kind of something
Not a candle.
It's not a candle, right? It's something that's like, hey, this is not like a tie or just some weird, boring gift that you give. This one's unique. They'll really appreciate it. Something that they'll be able to keep forever. So if you want to go to myfrontpagestory.com and get your gift there.
Yeah, use the promo code BROS20 for 20% off.
Yep.
Ryan was just we need some credit for this, Ryan.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. My bad.
Give the people their discount.
Yeah.
Sure, 20% discount. That's my bad.
All right.
Kind of missed the most important part there.
Let's talk some football. Let's get to our Week 12 takeaways. So Trey, what's your first one?
Yeah, so here are our front page stories here.
Mm-hmm.
We got, first I got to say, how good of a job has Pat Fitzgerald done with Northwestern? What a turnaround from last year. Their offense still isn't that great, but the defense is just outstanding. They dominated Wisconsin this weekend defensively. They didn't let Mertz, who had looked really good through the first couple games, or the rest of the Badgers, they didn't do anything. Every time I looked up, they were getting sacked or forcing the receivers to make a difficult throw or a difficult catch. So I saw this stat. Northwestern now has 23 outright wins when they're an underdog of 6 or more. The next best is 17. And that's in like the last 15 years. So they've just, as a big underdog, they do a very good job at pulling out the wins. But the Fighting Reese Davises, now they're probably going to win the West Division. That's crazy. Not too many people were predicting that before the year. But the Reese Davis thing, if you didn't hear, Joey Galloway earlier in the week referred to Northwestern as their athletes as a bunch of Reese Davises. Pat Fitzgerald used that as bulletin board material, the whole Northwestern team, and they were vocal about it after. I like it.
Yeah. Which is kind of a funny term to use in a Northwestern against Wisconsin, because I feel like a lot of people would use that term for Wisconsin too, but not correctly. But yeah,
I don't blame them for being a little upset there at Joey. That was kind of not cool, Joey. All right, my first takeaway here: Pac-12, man, they need to schedule BYU if they want to have a legit shot at the playoff. In my eyes, you got Oregon undefeated, USC, and Washington still. Those are the three that Colorado's still undefeated, but they don't have a chance. So those three, you got to find a way to happen. I know we just found out, what was it, last night, that UW kind of reached out to BYU to see if they could maybe set something up, but BYU wanted like a guarantee.
We're going crazy.
I know.
We're watching on YouTube. I apologize for having technical difficulty.
Yeah. So, was it Bruce that reported it? Bruce Fell or
initially he saw a source. Yeah.
Yes, and said that BYU just kind of said no thanks. Like, we're just going to see. Seemed like a weird report, and it ended up being not exactly true. BYU just couldn't get a guarantee. They'd have to spend so much money to get through the Pac-12 protocols and everything. So they weren't guaranteed it. So they were gonna have to do a bunch of stuff in order to do it when they wouldn't be guaranteed. Just didn't make a lot of sense. So I think the Pac-12 needs to make it happen, though. Oregon, USC, Washington, even if any of those teams go undefeated, it's gonna seem tough because Oregon had the best chance going into the year because of preseason hype, but 3 games in, not at all. They almost lost to UCLA. They're not getting any style points. UW started from a little back, but they did look pretty impressive versus Arizona. But I just don't think they're going to have enough. They're going to play so few games. A lot of these Pac-12 games are getting canceled. Some maybe they only end up like 5-6 games total. I think they needed to find a way to play BYU and make that a stronger. They need that quality win.
Yeah, it's you're an undefeated Pac-12 team. You're right, is far from a guarantee to make it. And on the other side, talking about BYU, they are desperately need that game. They have a 0% chance essentially of making the playoff without adding another good team. And but apparently, Washington wasn't willing to guarantee it, so it kind of made sense that it didn't happen, I guess. But
yeah,
we'll see. Okay, well, speaking of the Pac-12, my takeaway is Oregon and Washington should now be 1A and 1B in that Pac-12 North race. Oregon's defense kind of continues to disappoint. Luckily, the offense has been good. So, like you said, they squeaked by UCLA 38-35 this past weekend. Washington, though, clearly has a good defense, kind of like we expected. They allowed 14 points against Oregon State, and they were up 44-6 midway through the fourth quarter against Arizona before some garbage time touchdowns. So defense is great. Offense can run the ball at the very least. Yeah. And Dylan Morris, the redshirt freshman, game 2 looked pretty good against a not good Arizona defense, but at least he did what he should have.
Arizona looked decent defensively against the Trojans.
I know they did. I'm kind of blaming that more on USC's offense, but yeah. I guess it remains to be seen. But I just think these 2 teams, Oregon and Washington, are closer than we thought before the season.
I picked UW to win it.
Are you calling victory or something?
Still a long way to go. But yeah, they are good. Okay. They are very good.
I liked UW. So people underrate them because they lost Peterson, but like Michael brings up, their talent level, the composite talent level on that team is it's very high.
Mm-hmm.
So a takeaway none of us saw coming before the season is Michigan's struggles continued. They needed triple overtime to beat Rutgers. They won 48-42, and that's not a knock on Rutgers. Rutgers is clearly improved.
Sure.
But Rutgers, they jumped out to a 17-0 lead in this game. Harbaugh ended up making the switch to Cade McNamara at quarterback. That's one of the storylines here is Cade McNamara ended up playing pretty well. He threw 4 touchdown passes, and he replaced Joe Milton. So maybe if you're a Michigan fan, maybe McNamara can provide a little fire for that offense in the coming weeks. But in this game, Michigan ended up taking control in the fourth quarter of what you thought. They went up 8. And then Noah Vedral for Rutgers played really well. He led a really clutch drive, and on 4th and 9 in the last minute, scored a touchdown. They got the 2-point conversion
somehow.
And yeah, it was an impressive play. And then in the first overtime, Michigan missed a field goal, and so it pretty much looked over. Like all Rutgers had to do was kick a field goal. And these coaches, it's just so baffling. You watch these games, and on third down, they were only they're at their own 25. They didn't make any progress. At third down, they just they took a knee. They basically centered the ball and lost 2 yards to kick like a 45-yard field goal. That's not a gimme. And of course, the kicker missed it, and then they ended up losing a couple overtimes later after they scored some touchdowns. So just that's kind of baffling for me by Rutgers. But the point is, overall, Michigan, they might have some hope with McNamara, but they're still, with Harbaugh, not where they want to be, where they're in a dogfight with Rutgers.
That's for sure.
All right. Let's see here. My second one. OU, man. OU is playing like a top 5 team right now. They are looking legit. Spencer Rattler just lit up a good Oklahoma State defense this past week. He threw for over 300 yards on only 24 attempts. So we're getting back to the OU that we're used to on offense. Just those yards per attempt just through the roof, over 10. He had 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. So the passing game was looked good. Ramondre Stevenson has taken over the reins there at running back. He's just a load. He's looking really good. Defense is where it's, both sides of the ball are just getting better. Defense is playing really, really well. Now, Ronnie Perkins is playing really well. Nick Benito. They got some playmakers coming back, and they're looking good. It's happening on both sides of the ball. That home loss to Kansas State might cost them playoff, but they still have a shot. They do. But especially if they kind of keep dominating, I think maybe the committee would consider that. It's like, hey, the last 7 or 8 games, this team has looked legit. So if they go 8-2 and beat whatever it is, Iowa State or something in the Big 12 title game, they might consider a 2-loss OU over like a 6-0 Oregon. That hasn't looked that impressive.
They for sure need a good amount of help. With Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, and Florida, Georgia, or not Florida, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, all still right in there. They'll need a lot of losses, but it's conceivable.
Yep. But they're the favorites in the conference to win the Big 12. So,
yep. Okay, my next takeaway is that the Ohio State secondary could be their Achilles heel this season. So we knew there was going to be a lack of depth and experience there with all that they lost, and finally showed up against Indiana. Michael Penix had 491 passing yards. Indiana made a great comeback, hung in there, ended up losing 42-35. So good job by Tom Allen and crew. But, it certainly didn't help. Justin Fields probably had his worst game as a Buckeye. He threw 3 picks. But honestly, I don't worry about the offense at all. Master Teague was great on the ground. They're going to be great. But if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship, it's very likely because of the secondary not being able to stop Trevor Lawrence or Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, one of those type of guys. So I'm not saying that they won't win it, but I'm just saying that that would be the reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
All right, well, I always got to give love to the littler guys. So I got to give some love this week to Nevada. They beat San Diego State. They played in the main CBS game this week because SEC countellation. So they had the big boys of CBS were there. But they beat San Diego State 26-21. Jay Norvell, he's done a great job kind of building Nevada back up. His quarterback, Carson Strong, he has a big arm, kind of a name to watch if you end up finding yourself watching a Mountain West game the rest of the year. But they're 5-0. They sit atop the Mountain West. They still do have to play Fresno and Boise and San Jose State. No, I said that backwards. They have to play Fresno and San Jose State. They avoid Boise unless, of course, maybe they get them in the Mountain West Championship. So either way, 5-0, great start. Good job by Norvell, and watch for Carson Strong.
Yeah, that is good. All right, let's move to mine here. I got JT Daniels to the rescue for Georgia. An impressive first outing for him.
Yeah.
First quarterback since Aaron Murray in 2013 to throw for over 400 yards. Murray did it twice that year, actually. And shout out to one of our patrons, David, for giving us that little juicy nugget.
Or patrons, either way.
Patron.
What'd I say?
Patron.
Oh, well, it's like Megatron,
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah. So anyways, Jermaine Burton, he had a huge game receiving in this Georgia game here this past week. But pretty surprising though, Georgia, given how well JT Daniels played that they barely won. They barely beat Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Right. It's like if you tell me he was going to throw for over 400 yards, then I would think that they would have dominated. But they barely pulled this one out, and they just couldn't run the ball. They ran for 8 yards.
That's crazy.
What's up?
Yeah.
I mean, that, great that JT came to the rescue, and he was awesome, and he's the guy, of course, moving forward. But whoa, what's going on with their ground game?
I don't know. They plug one hole and then another one shows up. But the quarterback moving forward for the future, that was the huge concern, because obviously they're not going to make the playoff this year. Their kind of big goals are gone, but to have a promising quarterback is what they needed.
Still can make a New Year's 6. That'd be good.
Okay, my takeaway here: Cincinnati got by their toughest remaining obstacle to finishing undefeated. They won at UCF 36-33. And Ryan, your double mega lock of the year.
Kind of
what a brutal loss there.
So unlucky. So you had Cincinnati -6, and they had the ball first and goal, minute and a half left, and their running back, I think it was Dokes, had a wide open touchdown that could have just ran in, could have walked in, and he decided to go down at the 1 yard line on purpose, which was actually a very smart play, because it ended up they were able to just run the clock down, and they
tried. I feel like they tried on third down to score.
Yeah. They did try. They did try because there was, maybe 30 seconds left or however.
And that
much
probably might have been the right call at that point.
At that point, scoring the touchdown made more sense, I guess. Although, but it kind of worked out perfectly the way everything played out, because they were able to get it to where it was fourth down, and there was a 2-second differential between the game clock and the play clock. So all they had to do was snap it, take a knee, you win the game. Like, have you ever seen a team lose in that situation? I don't remember in our lifetime that ever happening.
Well, once they got it to third down, they won. Just didn't turn
but the third down they tried.
Oh man, it was. What's weird is it wasn't like an obvious situation where if you don't score a touchdown, like when the running back decided not to go in, it was like like you said, it was like over a minute and a half, and they knew they couldn't quite exactly run it out. You know what I'm saying? Like they couldn't go to they weren't taking knees.
Like I said, it got down to 2 seconds. Yeah.
Yeah. So they knew they couldn't take a knee and over. So they had to,
but that last snap was almost like that could have been, if Ritter doesn't touch that ball is loose 10 yards behind him. And there was 27 for UCF was a fast guy. Like,
well, the guy jumped on it.
That was very, very scary.
That would have been one of the most unbelievable finishes ever.
Yeah. That's why I think it was so. That's why I think the decision, even in hindsight, is a good decision, because it would have taken one of the craziest plays ever for it to end up, not getting that touchdown.
Since he was the better team, man, clearly.
That was tough, Ryan. That was tough.
Okay, so there you go.
Tough beat.
Well,
tough beat.
Cincinnati.
Was that on? Bad beats.
It actually was.
I was gonna say that's a bad one. Hey.
All right, we good? That's all our takeaways.
Yep.
Well, one thing if you did not watch the Tulane Tulsa game, just pull up the highlights on.
That was another bad beat tonight.
Magical year for Tulsa.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to our segment for this episode. And in honor of Thanksgiving, we have 2 questions. First one: which fan base should be the most thankful for their team's performance this year?
I'm going to go with Iowa State, the Cyclones. They should definitely be thankful that they're 6-2 and ranked, I think 15th. I saw was what they're ranked right now. This is probably the best team they've ever had. They've only finished in the top 25 twice in their entire history. And 19th was the highest that they finished. So they're sitting at 15 right now, looking good. And assuming they win one more game, this will be the winningest 4-year stretch in the history of their program. So it's been like the golden years of Iowa State football here. And, and they'll actually, winningest 4-year stretch, they'll actually beat out like the 1903 to 1906 Cyclone squad for that honor. So
they were pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive back then. So
might have played fewer games back then. Probably.
It was, this year they're not going to play much, but it was close. They played like 10, 11, but exactly. But still, they've obviously never won a Big 8 or Big 12 title, never even made it to the conference title game. And so they play at Texas this week. I think it's the biggest game in their history. If they win, they're in the Big 12 title game.
I think you're right. That's probably the biggest game.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Matt Campbell, can't. There's a murmur of people because they would, last year did they go 7-6 or something like that? It's like calling him overrated. It's just what he's done.
I think he's won like 8, 8, and 7.
Go win at Iowa State, tough guy.
And he's been unlucky in close games too. And at least last year he was, I remember. But
I love the people that just were freaking out after the Louisiana game to start the year.
I got some crap because I made Iowa State.
You got a lot of crap. Like, let's just chill, guys.
You can't overreact. You can't overreact.
Oh, people love to overreact, man.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say the most thankful fan base should be Northwestern. So Trey, you of course talked about them earlier. They were 3-9 last year. It was arguably Pat Fitzgerald's worst team in his 14 years there, and there was a chance that this was heading towards. I know it was only 1 year, but it was such a bad year that there was a chance it was headed towards kind of what TCU's been going through with Gary Patterson in terms of kind of the drop off in wins the last few years, what David Shaw could be kind of on his way towards at Stanford. But it was just a 1 year dip because here they are, 5-0, ranked 11th in the country, I know the offense still sucks, but like Peyton Ramsey has made it a lot better. It's not nearly.
That's the difference. Their defense is
last year.
Really not that much different than last year. They still have the same key guys on defense. They're
playing great.
They even lost a couple of guys up front on that D line that were really good, like Gaziano. But they're still really stout. The defense is always, I feel like, about the same for Northwestern.
Yeah, they've had some young guys step up on that defense too. So
yeah,
they're not missing the production they lost.
It's just the offense went from worst ever to maybe like 100th.
Yeah,
and that's good enough.
They actually are. They're 100th in SP Plus right now. Exactly.
There you go. Good.
But they're third on defense. They haven't had the third best defense. Like that's pretty ridiculous.
It helps having an offense that isn't dead last.
That's true.
All right. Mine is BYU. They've had some ups and downs with Kalani Sitake, and he was even kind of over the last couple of years been on the hot seat. But they have really put it all together this year. I know the schedule has been favorable, but they're still doing what they have to do. They're just kind of destroying teams for the most part. They're getting everything and more out of Zach Wilson of what they wanted. Like he had some hype last year. He kind of had an up and down year, but this year he's a Heisman contender. I mean, he's a stud going up draft boards. Obviously it could end up being maybe a little sad for them if they don't get a shot at the playoff or whatever, but any BYU fan would have signed up for where their current standing is right now.
They going into the year, like before all COVID happened and stuff, like people were looking at their schedules like, oh, they got a really tough schedule, their original schedule. So they had some big names on there, but I just wanted to quickly read off who they originally had. And so Utah, they would play at Utah, of course. Right. Michigan State. ASU, so that one's solid, but
we'll see. Yeah,
Minnesota, that looked like it was going to be a tough game before the year started. No, Utah State, Missouri,
I mean, these aren't all gimmies, but
they're a lot tougher than their current schedule. But
but
it didn't quite pan out. Maybe
Stanford,
as difficult.
It's just saying, like some of these programs, like Michigan State, Utah, Stanford, Minnesota. Like they're just having such down years right now. Like they still honestly could be undefeated with that schedule. Like it's not, none of those teams none of them are in the top 25, except for, is Boise in the top 25 right now? I don't think they are, right? Or they're close.
I think they are now, but if not, they're unbeaten, doing fine.
But BYU destroyed them. So just,
they're not.
Oh, yeah, that's right. BYU.
So I'm just saying, like, I think could still be.
I was talking about the Mountain West, but yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, and I also kind of want to walk back something I said earlier in the podcast when we talked about the BYU scheduling situation. Like, I don't know the exact situation. It seems like it was different, like you said, Ryan, than initially reported. But if they're not going to schedule any game this weekend, BYU, then I feel like a conditional game against Washington is maybe worth the shot, right?
I feel like I think they had to spend so much money to
prep
be able
for
to
it and
play the
stuff.
game, just give it a possibility, and then they could have
Right.
taken it away at the last moment, and they just wasted a bunch of money. It's like that would be
That's
kind
fair.
of a bad move by the department to waste money when they, So
Yeah, and as we look at the, as we're sitting here right now, it seems I read that it was somewhat likely that Washington's just going to end up playing Utah if ASU has to cancel again. So
exactly,
And
and go ahead, Trey.
No, I was just going to say, and they know that they have another open date, December 12th, and there's teams like Cincinnati out there or other teams that they might have another chance to do it. So it wasn't like this weekend and it's over. So that I'm just trying to make a case for them.
Yeah. I just thought it was a little harsh from from Bruce there.
Well,
that was
need more context.
That was an irresponsible tweet. When does BYU duck out from playing big boys? They never do. They always want to go play at the big time schools. I
will not have any negative Bruce talk on this podcast. Ryan.
I'm sorry. When I read that, I just that's irresponsible.
Well, maybe at the time that he got the information, he didn't know the whole context. You got to give him the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. That's the point. Don't call out a school if you don't got the whole context.
Him in my face.
I don't know. Just BYU would play. They never back out.
Ryan's the BYU resident homer of our podcast, as you can tell. No, I'm with you. You got to see all sides of the story.
Were you guys able to hear that Bruce drop?
Sorry, I did. We just totally talked over it.
Okay, no, I'm just making sure you heard it because Bruce just talked about plugging in his face and there's nothing.
Yeah, we love Bruce, and it was like second nature to hear him. But
let's go one more Bruce clip.
You name it: shampoo, conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, hair gel, even a wipe that leaves your tush feeling tingly.
Everybody makes mistakes, Bruce. Don't let it happen again.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. Which fan base should be the least thankful for their team's performance this year?
Good old Big Red, Nebraska. There is just not a whole lot to be thankful for. They just blown out by Illinois. Wasn't even a contest, just annihilated. Luke McCaffrey can't really throw the ball at all. It's just there's no weapons. The defense stinks. It's just like there's no positive things to really look at if you're a Nebraska fan right now. It's like it's year 3 of Scott Frost. They shouldn't be bad. Like they should at least be a 6-6 type of team. There's talent enough there. He's had enough time. Like this is embarrassing. They've gotten worse. It's gotten worse under Frost is the main problem that we all have. It's like there's no progress. We're going in the wrong direction. So it's a lot of us Husker fans are completely off the bandwagon of Frost.
I'm not yet.
Trey's got a little sliver of a hope. I don't. I think he needs to step up his game, step up his coaching assistance. He needs to get rid of the D coordinator. I think he needs to give up play calling duties. Just get an offensive coordinator in there too. Let him focus on more of the whole program thing, like Saban. There's just a lot of things that need to be fixed.
Yeah, it's not good in year 3. We did not expect us to be at this point. And because I know obviously the Husker program and Nebraska fans, I think by and large understand this. We're not trying to be national champions anymore. We're like, that's a pipe dream. But we right now, even not having good years lately, are recruiting top 20-ish classes. So I think expecting to be pretty good is reasonable.
We expect to compete for the West Division title. That's what we expect. Like, so we recruit the best in the West.
Yeah, we have been, at least. Wisconsin seems to be picking it up
we
now.
don't win it. We just.
All right. Well, I'm going with a team in kind of a similar spot, Tennessee. They've got great fan base. They can recruit really well, better than Nebraska, and they've only won 9 games twice since 2007. And this year was kind of the hope for a potential breakout season. They, of course, won their last, 6 games? Well, not 8. Did they win 8 games in a row?
If you counted the first 2 going into this year, I think.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah. So to end last season, they won, I think, 6 games in a row. Brought in a great recruiting class. The whole momentum of Pruitt was
the offseason.
It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offseason.
Great offseason. And now they're 2-5. They still have Florida and A&M left, so
Yeesh.
could be a 3-7 season here. And I would think that the fan base is kind of feeling about Pruitt like Nebraska fans feel about Frost, just kind of, a lot of fans out on him, and maybe some holding hope.
Yeah, it's took quite a turn there.
Yeah,
But
poor Vols.
they're still recruiting well. They got the 11th overall class right now.
At least they got that going for them.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean it's a good class.
I'm gonna go with another blue blood, Penn State. They're 0-5, and that it's the worst start in school history. But that wasn't entertained by anyone in the world. Like, not even if you said they were going to be 1-4 to start the year, you would have just laughed. You would have scoffed at that. But they've had tough losses. They've had blowout losses. There's been regression on offense. We've seen Sean Clifford not be the greatest. Obviously, we knew that the opt-outs didn't help with Micah Parsons, and then later Journey Brown had to retire at running back. But still, no one expected this or saw this or wanted this. So Happy Valley ain't so happy right now.
Oh, more like Unhappy Valley.
Yeah.
Unhappy Valley. That's right.
It's crazy. They just, I mean, they lost to Nebraska. Ooh.
Yeah. But like, their future, I'm not pessimistic on, but it's taking a little bit of a detour. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's obviously a horrible year, but anyone it seems like a lot of people are like, oh, James Franklin sucks or this or that. He should be on the hot seat. It's just, the guy's done
overreactors. It's the overreacting
great
crowd.
Job there. He did an incredible job at Vandy, like amazing. Did a really, really job at Penn State. They've won 10, 11 games, right?
A couple New Year's Six bowls. Yeah.
Yeah. And this year, I don't know. It's
won the Big Ten. Like,
yeah.
Hard to do.
For sure. So I would happily take him, let's just say, as a USC fan, if Penn State was willing to part with him. But
don't overreact, people. But he kind of will need a little bit of a bounce back next year, of course. But I would expect them to. They're still gonna have a lot of talent, and normal year that would be different.
Okay. Well, let's before we get into our week 13 picks against the spread, we've got a website where you can make those picks. So it's mybookie.ag. Thanksgiving, of course, is this week. So it's going to be a week full of turkey dinners, NFL, college football, and MyBookie's Turkey Day free play. So I feel like we said this before, but this like ad copy that I'm about to read here, there's a lot of good deals, and the bros
amazing.
They've kind of been pausing their deals for the last few weeks, saving up for this one. Like there hasn't been like lightning deals or boosted odds the past couple weeks because they're saving for this week. Like they're going all out this week.
So this week only, sign up and get your first deposit matched halfway, and you'll receive a $250 risk-free bet on the Texans-Lions full game spread. So here's how it works. You make your deposit, place a bet on the early game spread, and if you win, you win. And that's cash in your pocket. If you
get
lose,
like 230 or whatever, right? Or
250 to win, whatever it is, 230, I don't know. If you lose, MyBookie will refund you up to $250 on your wager. It credited directly to your account. So celebrate Turkey Day the MyBookie way. Use the promo code CFBROS, that's all caps CFBROS, to claim your deposit bonus and your $250 risk-free bet. If you've been on the fence about joining, now's a good time, especially because the following day, MyBookie is, as they say, cranking up the heat with a boosted odds Black Friday special. So
amazing.
We are going to be logged in every hour on Friday because from 10 a.m. Eastern to 11:30 p.m. Eastern, the value just keeps on coming and the players keep on winning because this boosted odds day. So every hour they've got a new point spread or whatever, something for you to bet on, and they have moved the odds in your favor. So we've said, they've had these days before. Sometimes it'll be they move a team's minus 21 and they'll make them -7, and you can bet up to $25 on that. So they just have a bunch of deals kind of like that throughout the day. If you bet them all, of course, it's not a guaranteed winner, but it's
on all of them. You're pretty much guaranteed you're going to make money that day. Well, I guess
pretty much.
pretty much. But
you have to get very unlucky, let's just say. So
yeah,
it's pretty much free teasers, stuff like that. So
Yeah.
and if you're going to sign up, definitely pay attention to your phone on Friday to get all those deals. So that's why they call football season winning season at MyBookie. All right.
Yeah. I'm like making sure I'm on it the whole day. Like,
we're going to be texting each other.
We better be updating each other. Like, hey, don't forget this one. Don't forget this. Like,
yeah. Okay, let's get to our week 13 picks now. Iowa State on Friday. There's a couple games on Thursday. Thanksgiving, not the greatest game, so we'll move. What's that?
No.
Is Egg Bowl on Friday this
No,
year?
it's not on Thursday.
It's not.
Is it on
has
Friday
been in the past, but not this year.
Rats.
Yeah, I think it's on Saturday this year.
Bummer.
We'll get to that. But anyway, Friday, we got Iowa State at Texas. Texas is favored 1.5, Ryan.
Yes, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but biggest game, I think, in Iowa State's program history here. They win, and they're in. They're in that Big 12 title game for the first time. For Texas, if they win, well, they would control their own destiny at that point, and they would have a very, very strong chance of getting in. But it's kind of a logjam. There'd be like 4 teams with 2 losses potentially if that happened. But they would have beaten Iowa State and Oklahoma State, so they'd be looking pretty good. And Texas has the Kansas schools left their next 2 games, so looking pretty good to win those games. So they'd be looking at a very successful 8-2 year if they won. But I'm going to take the Cyclones here, though. Their defense has been playing better. I mean, they have a pretty solid one. And keep in mind, Texas hasn't played since the 7th. They haven't played since November 7th. So it'll be like 3 weeks since they will have played live action. So maybe a little bit of a rust factor there. But, even without that, I still like the Cyclones. Brock Purdy played the best game of the year last week. So he's looking good. He's coming in confident. I think that he's kind of gaining his traction after a somewhat slow start to the year. I would kind of be surprised if this one wasn't super close. Seems like Texas and Iowa State, both of them kind of play some pretty tight games. But I like the Cyclones to pull it out here.
I like the Cyclones as well, and it's a toss-up game, like you said. But I know Kansas State isn't at full strength, but they won 45-0 and just dominated. It was one of their best performances of the year. No defense has been able to slow down Breece Hall. He's at over 130 yards rushing in every game except for that first game of the year.
Maybe the most underrated player in the country. That guy is awesome.
He's balling out. Herman, Texas coach, even said that this is the best Iowa State team he's seen since he's been there, which I think we might all agree it could be the case.
Yeah.
The defense might have some struggles stopping Ellinger, but they're built for it. They're strong up front on that line. I think they'll make enough stops to get the win.
I'm with you guys. I like Iowa State. And it's Breece Hall is a bit. Breece Hall and Brock Purdy, big reason why. And I think their defense is better than Texas's. So, but I have a surprise trivia question for you guys here. So let's enter the trivia zone.
Mm.
I'm going to ask you a trivia question.
A lot of Bruce today.
Trivia.
Doesn't matter what it is, you have answers.
Zone.
When you ask me those kind of questions, it really pisses me off.
Trivia zone.
Ryan,
Okay, so-
by the way,
Yeah.
my bookie would have had Michael at -1,000 that he was going to take Iowa State in this game.
No, I know. I thought about that right before. I was like, has Michael ever not taken Iowa State in a game?
I may not have. I don't know.
Michael's good at playing both sides.
He
but
loves
Iowa State,
OU and he loves Iowa State. But he loves Iowa State a little more.
Iowa State more for sure.
If they play each other, he's going Iowa State, but it's
Okay, well, so here's the question. So Breece Hall has gone over 100 yards rushing in all 8 games this season. Since 2000, only 9 other running backs have surpassed 100 yards in each of his team's first 8 games. So I'm going to name the year.
Jonathan
and the school.
Taylor.
He did not do it.
No,
I don't know how he didn't. I'd have to go back and look, but it actually sounds familiar. Him having like 96 yards in a game.
That's surprising. He had 3 years of over 2,000.
Didn't we have like a fan? Yeah, I know. I'm surprised he didn't do it. But didn't we have a fan one time, like in our comments on Instagram or something, talking trash about how many yards Jonathan Taylor was going to have against them, and they were just
Oh, that
going
sounds
back and forth.
familiar.
And he ended up having fewer than 100 yards. Anyway, I don't know. So anyway, so I'm naming the year and the school, and you got to name the running back that did this. So 2000 TCU, LaDainian Tomlinson. 2004 Oklahoma,
Adrian Peterson.
Yep. 2004 again, Cal.
Oh God, I get all these Cal running backs.
They
mixed
had so many running backs in a row.
They had Javid Best, Marshawn.
Was it Marshawn?
No.
Or JJ Arrington?
JJ Arrington, yeah.
Arrington. Okay. See, yeah, there's too many.
Yeah, that's
all right. 2005 Washington State.
Whoa.
You'll know it when you hear it, but I don't think I would have come up with this.
Oh man.
Sean, no, that was Alabama.
Sean Alexander.
I was thinking Sean Alexander.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Oh, he played for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Washington State. Oh man. And I might need another hint.
I think my NFL knowledge is rusty. I think he might have played for the Bengals in the NFL. He wasn't a big back. I don't think. I don't know. JH are his initials.
Wow.
Is it Jerome Harrison?
Yeah, Jerome Harrison.
Okay. JH gave it away for a little bit for me there. And the small guy. The small kind of made it.
Yeah.
He was a while. He played what, for Cleveland or something?
Oh, was that? Yeah, maybe I was close there. I don't remember
the
exactly. 2008 UConn.
Donald Brown.
Yeah,
Donald Brown.
Rats. Good job, Trey.
2008 Iowa.
Oh, they've had some backs too.
Can give you a hint if you want it.
Iowa. Oh man, Iowa.
I'm gonna take the hint.
All right,
I guess so.
He ended up playing for the Jets, I believe. I believe he got drafted to the Jets.
Golly gee.
Wow.
Let me know when you want the initials.
I'm gonna need them right now.
Yeah, not ringing a bell.
Right. For the sake of the listeners, SG.
Sean Green.
Sean Green. Yep.
Wow. Rats.
2009 Fresno State.
Man, I can picture him.
Oh, he was good, right? He went to like.
Well, he had at least 100 yards in each of his first 8 games.
True. Yeah, fair enough. No, Ryan Matthews.
Yeah,
there
nailed
you
it.
go.
Ryan Matthews.
He went like to the Eagles or something, right?
Played for the Chargers.
Oh, that's right. That's
started
right.
at the Chargers. Yeah,
that's right.
2014 Indiana.
Wow. 2014 Hoosiers.
Mm-hmm.
I can picture him too. Was he a little bigger?
Yeah, he was a big back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can picture the guys, but
this one's not coming to me.
The Hoosier fans are going to be just.
No, I know. If you're a Hoosier fan, you're like, how do you not remember? It's like, I get it. There's a lot of guys. I mean, when you hear the name, you're gonna kick yourself, but that's just the way it is. A lot of guys to remember in college.
I can picture him, but can't put the name with him right now.
All right, I'll give you the initials. TC.
Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman. 2015. This is the last one. 2015 Ohio State.
Zeke.
Yeah,
Zeke Elliott.
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, that's pretty good company to be in. Breece Hall, the 10th running back since 2000 to get 100 yards each of his first 8 games.
I mean, especially in nowadays, like running back, that's impressive.
Mm-hmm. And also he didn't have a non-conference with, lesser teams to pad stats against. So two of those 9 guys did it in every single game. They ended up finishing the season with 100 yards. It was Sean Green. He went all 13 games for Iowa, and JJ Arrington all 12 for Cal.
Wow.
So we'll see if Breece Hall can continue it. Let's move on to quite a detour from Notre Dame is -4.5 at North Carolina. What do you think, Trey?
I'm taking the Tar Heels here. The defense for them is a bit worrisome, but you have to like their offense. The Irish, of course, they have a strong defense, but they're coming off games giving up 40 to Clemson, which not a major red flag, and then 31 to Boston College. So I have to believe the Heels will find some success. And what's great about their offense is, as we all know, it's not solely dependent on Sam Howell. I mean, sure, they've got awesome wideouts with Newsome and Brown, but they have Javonte Williams running the ball really well. The Irish on the offense, they're going to be missing their starting center and guard. So I think Ian Book will still do well, and they'll put up points against that Tar Heel defense, but can they totally match score for score? We'll see. So I'm just going to take the home underdog.
Yeah, I'm with you there. This is obviously a massive game for Notre Dame, because if they win it, then they're favored to go undefeated in the regular season, which might earn them a playoff spot, even if they do lose to Clemson in that ACC
I think they
title.
should, but
I think they would deserve it. Yeah. So this is their toughest test remaining. I like Carolina to cover here because, yeah, offense has been playing great lately. You mentioned it's not just Sam Howell and the receivers. It's, Williams and Carter on the ground. And with Notre Dame missing some pieces, North Carolina on their defense is actually getting some pieces back potentially. Kyle Michael, a starting corner, is going to be back here. And
Right.
Storm Duck, potentially, one of their best players on defense, could be back in that secondary as well. So that could help shore up what has been a shaky defense.
Yeah.
I'm going to go the other way, guys. I'm not confident in North Carolina's defense, even with bringing a guy or two back. They got a long way to go. They gave up 53 to Wake Forest.
It's been
the other
leaky.
day.
Yes.
That was
great.
Not very good. And Notre Dame's gonna be able to run the ball. Notre Dame, Ian Booker's gonna be able to do kind of what they want. And North Carolina is gonna have some challenges going up against a good Notre Dame defense. I'm not saying Notre Dame's gonna completely shut them down, but they will definitely force some punts on North Carolina. And Ian Book might have some tighter windows he's got to throw to. We've seen a little more interceptions and stuff, especially at the beginning of the year. So that could come back and bite him.
Are you talking about Sam Howell?
You mean Sam Howell? Yeah.
Oh, did I say that? Sorry.
You said
Ian
Ian Book.
Oh, my bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, not Ian Book. You don't throw interceptions.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I like Notre Dame here. I just think they're the better team. They beat Clemson, man.
Yeah.
They're good, dude.
I remember that game. Yeah.
They're good.
Let's we got the later game
I
on.
remember that.
It's a good game. Overtime, I think.
Yeah.
Civil War on Friday night. Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon is -13.5. We've talked about, I feel like the last couple episodes we've brought up Oregon's defense, not being as dominant as we expected. So I think Oregon State can hang around in this game. UCLA and Stanford have put up big numbers on the ground against Oregon. Jamar Jefferson is a great running back, so he looks to be healthy this year. I think he's going to have did have a scare last game, but I think he came back, right? So I think he could have a big game. And I don't see them winning because I think Oregon's offense is going to dominate as well. But I'll lock in +13.5.
Oh, okay. That was a very.
It was
sneaky
not
lock.
a very the lock. I
little
didn't
lock
build
in.
up
You didn't
to the
say
lock
that.
like I like to, but I'm
You kind of
still thinking about
threw
that
in the lock
Clemson
mid
game.
sentence, like yeah, I'm just gonna lock it in.
I
Okay.
know.
You didn't do it.
I didn't learn from your mega lock of the year last
Well,
week.
maybe you did learn from it.
Yeah.
All right. I agree. I'm taking the Beavs. Oregon just has not been convincing in any game. Even against Wazoo, they were down. They kind of got lucky because they had that one huge play right before the half. Otherwise, they would have been out 12. They might have lost that game or had to fight even further to win it. So, just not impressed. Beavs, they're fighting. They're they're not maybe not great, but they're going to fight hard. They competed with UW right to to the end and kind of got pretty unlucky not to win that one. So, yeah, I like the Beavs. I think they'll make it interesting.
I'm totally with you guys. Clean sweep. The defense has just been too underwhelming for me to back the Ducks given this many points. I think Jonathan Smith can work a few plays to keep them in the game. And I'm exactly like Michael, where I think they can. I don't necessarily think they'll win, but they might give them a scare. And I'm also gonna lock the Beavers in.
Oh, all right, guys.
Ooh. I mean, I'm just hoping it's close too, because that would be very fun on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Saturday, we've got the Iron Bowl, Auburn at Alabama. Alabama's favored 24.5.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That's a lot of points. I mean, I want to take Bama just because they they're so good, but you also kind of got to remember what happened last year. Auburn beat them with Bo Nix. I know Bama's defense is better this year, and Auburn's is probably a little bit worse. Mac Jones is a little more seasoned. But I just can't give 24.5 points. Auburn's still a solid team. They're 5-2. They've got a good defense still. They got enough talent on that side of the ball to maybe give a couple speed bumps for Alabama's offense. And they've only given up 30 once this year. So it's still a good group. You got Big Cat Bryant playing well. Smoke Monday, sorry.
that's Tennessee's corner you're thinking of.
Yeah.
My bad. Christian Tutt. So they got some good talent. Give me Auburn here. They're gonna fight hard in this one. It's the Iron Bowl. It's not gonna be a blowout.
Yeah, and I don't know if this spread says more about how good Bama is or how much weaker Auburn is. To me, since the Ole Miss shootout that Bama had, they've just been playing at another level. They're just destroying other teams. And even though I'm with you, right? It almost seems too easy or logical to take this many points, and especially in the Iron Bowl. But I'm going to go the opposite. I'm taking the Tide. I don't think Auburn is awful, but their 5-2 record is very misleading. I mean, even last week against Tennessee, they ended up winning by 13, but there was a 100-yard pick six. That was a 14-point turnaround. Then they even kicked a late field goal in the end. So I think that score was a little bit closer than what really happened. It's a bummer too, because I love the Iron Bowl. It's been probably the most fun game to watch over the last decade. So, but I'm going to take Bama.
Yeah, I'm going with Alabama as well. Like you said, the only team to hang in there with Bama this year, really, for the full game was Ole Miss, and that's because they have an incredible offense. Auburn does not, and they also have 3 key players questionable for this game. We don't know if Tank Bigsby at running back is going to get the start, and both of their starting tackles are kind of day-to-day as well. So with those question marks, I'm just not sure they can keep up with this Bama offense, which has been ridiculous. Our next game we got here is, but I hope it's close. That would
I would love it.
A lot of drama. Colorado at USC. Trojans are favored 13.5. Trey.
Yeah, just what we all
teams
thought.
Undefeated.
Yeah, just what we all thought. The battle for the Pac-12 South, Colorado and SC. Who would have thunk? But I mean, Colorado is, of course, they're going to be taking a jumping class here playing SC, given they've only beaten Stanford and UCLA. But we at least know their offense can move the ball. Given SC's shaky nature on the defensive side, I don't see why Colorado can't find some success there. Sam Neuer through the air could play well, but Jarek Broussard, their running back, he's run the ball great in their first couple games. We know SC's been a little vulnerable against the run, giving up 175 per game so far. On the other side, though, I don't necessarily see Colorado slowing down Slovis and the Trojan offense all that much. But I think SC is going to win, maybe in a higher scoring game, and in that case, I'll take the 13.5 with Colorado.
Yeah, I'm going to take those points as well. Nothing has really come easy for this USC offense so far this year. Even against Arizona, who should have one of the worst defenses in the Power 5, nothing came easy in that game until the very end. So until I see this offense put together a full game, I'm going to take a double-digit spread.
Completely agree. That's a clean sweep here. Colorado's competent. USC just doesn't have the consistency. Not sure what it is on offense. They got enough talent. The quarterback's back. The
Receivers
line,
are great. Drake London has stepped up. He's a beast.
I'm not sure what it is. The line is not much different from last year. It should have.
Yeah, I mean, we lost both starting tackles. We moved 2 guards to tackles. I don't think it's been.
Fair.
I don't think we've been able to count on the offensive line consistently, and I don't know. We'll see.
But just seems a little off.
It is for sure. Okay, we got the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored 9.5. And to me, Mississippi State keeping it close last weekend against Georgia was kind of an aberration. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games. The only win was, and that since that week 1 win against LSU, but the only win in that last 6-game stretch was a close one against Vandy. So they've been terrible. They've had some defections and guys transferring out. Offense has been very bad, it's surprisingly bad under Mike Leach, even in year 1. KJ Costello might be back for this game. I'm not sure, but honestly, he hasn't been much better than the true freshman Will Rogers. So I'm going to take Matt Corral and Lane Kiffin to get a double-digit cover.
Yeah, I agree here. I think Ole Miss is the heavy favorite. I don't know how Mississippi State will really keep up with Corral, assuming Corral doesn't have his one bad game that he had earlier in the year. What he threw like
6 picks.
It's like he just got it all out in one game. But if he's the Corral that we're used to seeing, I mean, Ole Miss is going to put up a ton of points. And just, I think Will Rogers, I like kind of like what I've seen from him so far this year for a true freshman. He's done pretty well, but just not.
It's generous.
I mean, true freshman, tough gig.
Yeah, it's true.
Not a lot of supporting cast. So
yeah,
I do think he has some promise. But there's too big of a discrepancy at QB for me to take Mississippi State here. So yeah, definitely taking Ole Miss.
The real question is, anyone going to pee in the end zone like a dog in this game like last year? That's what we really want to find out. But no, I think Matt Corral and the Rebels, they're going to fire too many bullets on that side of the ball. They're going to sink the pirate ship of Leach here. So I'm taking Ole Miss as well.
All right. OU minus 10.5 at West Virginia. What do you think, Ryan?
Man, bounce back year here for Neil Brown. They're sitting at 5-3 right now. They're not a whole lot of people are talking about the Mountaineers, but they have 2 tough games left. But wow, it's a good bounce back year. Successful year too.
Neil Brown should come up as a candidate for other jobs. South Carolina jobs like that.
We were all high on Neil Brown. We all still are. They had a nice win last week. They dominated TCU. So they're looking pretty good, but OU is just playing at a different level than it seems like, than they were at the beginning of the year. I don't see the Mountaineers being able to consistently move the ball against Oklahoma's all of a sudden solid defense. The last 4 games, OU's just given up 16 points per game. And that's saying something when they get up. They've been up by quite a bit in a lot of these games early too. So completely shut down Oklahoma State. Spencer Sanders and Shane Illingworth were garbage against OU last week. Shane Illingworth was like 5 of 21 or something. Like he couldn't do anything. West Virginia does have a good defense as well, no doubt about it. They're a formidable group, but Spencer Rattler, getting my Spencers mixed up. They're going to put up some points. There's no doubt about that. I'm going to take I'm going to give the 10.5 with Oklahoma. I want to make Oklahoma my lock.
Yeah, you said it earlier, Ryan. You could argue that they're playing like a top 5 team right now, but I'm going to jump in front of that Sooner wagon, and I'm going to back the Mountaineers here. I was high on them in the offseason. They've already had a solid year, like you mentioned. Their defense might probably actually be the best in the Big 12. Oklahoma State got a lot of pub, and deservedly so. But West Virginia is right there. Like Pro Football Focus has them as one of the best pass defenses in the entire country.
What about College Football Focus?
Wow, good point. But it's not just the Sills brothers on the D line. Their secondary has been playing outstanding. So I just want to. Oklahoma has benefited from not playing the toughest slate of defenses. Granted, they just did beat Oklahoma State pretty well, but
they were down. Oklahoma State was down some key players. So
yeah, and this one's on the road, so I just want to see Rattler again in a different environment. if Daggy can generate a little bit of offense, I think the Mountaineers have a chance to keep it close.
Yeah, I mean, I think Mountaineers have a chance to win. They're good enough to potentially pull off an upset. Jarrett Daggy doesn't turn the ball over. Letty Brown having a great year on the ground at running back, and you guys just talked about the defense. But my analysis is kind of like it was last week against Oklahoma State. I'm like Ryan. I'm not going to jump in front of this Sooner wagon, so I'll lay the 10.5. I think I think Spencer Gifts should have a decent game here. I'm sorry, Spencer Dinwiddie.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, right.
Spencer
Yeah.
Levine. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our honorable mentions. Ryan, you go first.
Alrighty then. First game here for me, Maryland at Indiana. Indiana's favorite 11.5. Maryland hasn't played in a couple weeks. Their last 2 games were canceled, unfortunately. But I like the Terrapins here. Indiana gave everything they had last week at Ohio State, fought tooth and nail, played well, no doubt about it. So I could see a little bit of a letdown game here where you think Indiana, they played Ohio State close, they should be really good. But I could see Maryland coming in and surprising them. So I'm going to take the 11.5 with Tagovailoa and Maryland. Moving on, second game, Penn State at Michigan. Michigan's favored 2.5, combined 2-8 record here. Just crazy that these teams are struggling. And of course, we know Michigan was fortunate last week, but I'll take Michigan. They at least have showed some signs of life. They did beat Rutgers, even though it wasn't great. But Penn State's just finding ways to lose. They lost to Nebraska. It doesn't get much worse than that. So they're bad. Moving on, third game, San Jose State at Boise State. This is a big game. What do you know? Boise's favored 11, but San Jose State's sitting at 4-0 right now, along with Boise in the conference. So huge game. Winner is likely in the Mountain West title game. So I'm going to take the Spartans here. It's not over, but likely.
Yeah, if it's Boise, for sure.
Well, why not San Jose? They'd be undefeated with the
I just mean
leg up.
Yeah, I know. If Boise wins, they're more of a sure thing to make.
Okay, yes, but San Jose State would be a pretty big favorite if they won. I'm taking San Jose State here. Nick Starkel has been great so far for San Jose State. Bailey Gaither has been a good receiver for them. Their defense has been stout up to this point. Boise is definitely still Boise, but I do think they're maybe like a little down by Boise standards this year. Hawaii kind of gave them a tussle there at the end this last week. And Boise also had a did I say Boise gave them a tussle last week?
I think you said Hawaii.
Oh, okay, good. I'm just gonna mixing up my teams and stuff this week, but Boise also had a kick return touchdown that game, so that was a more competitive game than maybe that should have been. So yeah, I'm taking the 11 points with San Jose State. Last game, Stanford at Cal. Cal's favored 1.5. Rough start to the year here for both these teams, trying to avoid being the cellar dwellers. This is a toss-up, truly a toss-up for me. Hard to judge. I'm just going to take the 1.5 with Stanford. They've proven a little bit that they can at least move the ball. Davis Mills threw for 327 yards last game. Cal, of course, has had a tough go of it so far. They had some injuries and some COVID concerns to deal with. So that's been some causes for concern for them. So a little inconsistent for me to want to take them. So give me the Cardinal.
All right. I got Pitt at Clemson. Clemson's favored 24.5. I'm going to take the points with Pitt. If you look at the games that they've had Kenny Pickett available, they're actually having a pretty good season. I know the games with Joey Yellen, he was really bad replacing him. So that led to some losses there. So even though Clemson had that unplanned week off with Florida State canceling, they that was a chance for Clemson to get some guys healthy that they've been banged up. So that's could argue a good thing for them. Although I know Dabo disagrees, but I think still think Pitt can get the cover here with Pickett. Kent State at Buffalo. Buffalo's favored 7.5. Big game in the back. Both teams 3-0. Winner of this game very likely to make the MAC championship. Buffalo is solid on both sides of the ball. Jarrett Patterson, one of the best running backs in the country. But I'm going to take 7.5 points with Kent State. Dustin Crum, their quarterback, the last 2 years at quarterback, 38 total touchdowns, 3 interceptions. He's been great. Minnesota at Wisconsin. Badgers favored 21.5. Minnesota, I just saw before we got onto podcast here, is not going to practice on Tuesday. We're recording this Monday night. They have some presumptive positive COVID-19 tests. So this game's in jeopardy. If it does happen, I would expect Minnesota to continue to be down a bunch of players. So I will take the Badgers.
Wow, Wisconsin could miss another one. Wouldn't that make them disqualified from the?
They're pretty much out with Northwestern.
Yeah, Northwestern's pretty much got it anyway.
True.
But yeah, they would be eliminated.
Fair enough.
Georgia minus 21.5 at South Carolina. I'm going to bet against the game one hype of a new quarterback with JT Daniels. So I'll take South Carolina, but I honestly don't have a ton of confidence in it because this is a pretty easy defense right now for a quarterback to go up against. So wouldn't be totally surprised if JT Daniels has another big game.
Yep. All right, I got LSU at A&M. The Aggies are favored by 14. TJ Finley, he played pretty well last week. Gives some optimism for the Tiger offense, but they did benefit from one of their drives. It was a 1-yard touchdown drive. And then the Aggies have had a couple weeks off. They're going to be ready to roll here. They seem to be playing with a bunch of confidence since that Florida win a few weeks back. That LSU defense is much maligned. I think it's too tall of a task to slow down Mond and Spiller. Next game, Northwestern minus 13.5 at Michigan State. We touched on it earlier. Northwestern's defense has just been so dominant, and they should have no problem slowing down Michigan State's kind of putrid offense at this point. They're 118th in SP+. It's difficult for me to give this many points with Northwestern, especially with that offense, but unfortunately the Spartans have just been pretty lifeless the last couple weeks, except for that Michigan game out of nowhere. But they've been outscored 73-7 against Indiana and Iowa in the last two games. So I got to take Northwestern. Kentucky at Florida. Florida is given 23.5. I'm going to go chalk here with the Gators. They got a little wake-up call last week with their effort against Vanderbilt. Felt like they were kind of just going through the motions. I think they're going to give Kentucky a much better effort. Kentucky's offense has really regressed in recent weeks. They only beat Vandy by a field goal. Then they lost by 60 at Alabama. And then finally, we've got Tulsa at Houston. Houston's -1 right now. This game is kind of in jeopardy. Houston's dealing with some COVID issues themselves. They had their game postponed last week. But overall, if this game does go, Houston's been a little disappointing in my eyes this year for Holgorsen. Tulsa's been the opposite. Been a pleasant surprise, 5-1. They're ranked now. Zach Smith, their quarterback, is day to day. We don't know. He left the last game, so we don't fully know if he'll be 100% or ready to go. If they do play Houston, they haven't had a team workout in the last couple of weeks. This game's impossible. I'll just take Tulsa.
Yeah, that's a tough one to pick.
All righty. Let's close out this episode with a questionable finish. Our first question comes from a 5-star review by Farthest YTTGGFD. They said, let's skip the pleasantries and get down to business. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, good question. No, it's not. Because that is just one piece of bread. And the definition of a sandwich is an item of food consisting of two pieces of bread with stuff in between them. So,
so you're saying, Ryan, you're saying a Subway sandwich isn't a sandwich? That's one piece of bread.
Hot dog is one piece
Checkmate.
of bread.
Yeah. I think that by definition, I think it is a sandwich. Like if you're looking at the dictionary definition, but you should never ever call it a sandwich. It's because no one calls it that. And, that's
there
my
you
take.
go. Yeah, I don't have too much of a fight in this. This has been a debate that's been going on for years. But I look at it like it is a sandwich. You got buns and meat, and I'll just bread and meat, and it's a sandwich.
Yeah.
So I'm saying yes.
Okay. By the way, you can leave, if you haven't already, leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Helps us out. It's Thanksgiving this week, of course. So my question is, which one of us would win in a competition to see who could eat the most?
Oh,
Ryan usually of the three of us works out the most. He burns the most calories. I'll say he can throw down the most in a sitting.
Yeah,
Also Ryan. Ryan, you're also famous for that fourth meal growing up. You'd go drive through at like 11 p.m.
Yeah, I'm not famous for that anymore, but you know, go ahead, Mike.
Okay. All right, I'll go. I fourth meal it actually, like really every time we record a podcast, because I've got to edit it afterwards, and usually I give myself a little treat. I drive through like Taco Bell or
Do you?
Nice.
Raising Cane's at like 1 a.m. So
Ooh.
God, I hate that you guys have Raising Cane's so close.
I think it's between me and Ryan. I just threw out Trey.
Yeah.
I'll go with myself. I
Oh.
weigh the most of all of us. So
How much you bench?
Well, how much do I bench?
Just kidding.
And not applicable.
How much do you weigh these days?
Well,
How much
geez.
do I weigh? I think
Oh,
like
man.
180, maybe like high 170s.
Okay. But you're thin.
Way more than you.
I think I would win. I think
You
I'd
think
win.
you would win?
Yeah, like Trey said, I work out the most. I burn the most calories. I'm going back for thirds on Thanksgiving plates usually.
It's
so.
also a question of mental toughness too, which I feel like I'll give you the edge there. Because if you're in an eating contest, it's a lot of mental toughness. I
Yeah,
think.
Ryan would
Yeah,
fight through it. Ryan would
I'd
fight through
probably eat till I puke just so I could win.
it.
All right, let's get to our upset special. Every week we pick a 7+ point underdog to win outright. I'm taking Ball State to win as a 9.5 point underdog at Toledo. I think they have the offense to potentially keep up with them. Drew Plitt, pretty good quarterback. Caleb Huntley, averaging nearly 150 yards per game on the ground. So go Cardinals.
I like that pick.
All right. I might be taking Ryan's. I don't know, but I don't feel bad because you took mine last week. So I'm going to take Maryland plus 11.5. Dang it. I thought I was.
No.
They're playing Indiana. Obviously, the Hoosiers are better, but it's a tough loss. They were in the game against Ohio State. They know that that would have been their big statement. Now they have to come back and play lowly Maryland. The Terps aren't that bad. They've proven to be, pretty decent this year. And the Hoosiers, they also kind of know that they're pretty much eliminated from the Big Ten East race. So it might have trouble fighting through it this week.
Yep, totally can see that. I like your guys' picks though. I'm gonna go with CU, Colorado.
Whoa.
Sorry, Mike.
Oh.
Yeah, getting 13.5 at the
spread.
Trojan. I know that's why it's like just don't trust USC to really separate themselves much from much of anybody. Utah was played pretty horrible, and we're still kind of in that game. So I think CU, who has been playing solid, the offense has been solid, and I think they can probably. I just feel like USC's they've been getting pretty lucky here. At some point they're going to lose. I just don't see this team going undefeated. So I could see it being to Colorado here.
Yeah, I agree there. We play USC has Colorado, Wazoo, and at UCLA remaining on the schedule. Each one of those games, USC will very likely be a favorite, I would think, but I do think we'll drop one of them. I don't know which one, but
yep,
I think so.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to the College Football Bros podcast. Hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. Lots of food, lots of football, maybe some MyBookie, maybe some My Front Page Story.
Yeah.
And I'll stop shilling. Hey, maybe our Patreon. What about that?
Hey,
maybe
that's right.
You're traveling a little bit. You're driving a long ways, and you can listen to some bonus podcasts. So check out patreon.com/collegefootballbros, and we will talk to you next week.
You've been listening to the College Football Bros. If you have any questions for the next podcast, email them to collegefootballbros@gmail.com. To keep up with the brothers on social media, like them on Facebook at College Football Bros, follow them on Instagram at College Football Bros, and for their commentary on Saturdays, follow them on Twitter at CFB Bros. Thanks for listening.